Awesome possum. We're live. One more episode of the GM Workshop. Hell yeah. Happy Friday to myself because I'm in chat and I'm awesome. Shout out to me for being wicked cool. Shout out to anybody else for also being wicked cool. Cool. So today's Friday. We do a little bit of prep on Fridays. We talk about anything that comes in. Any ideas from chat that come in, any homebrew reviews that come in. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to leave a little bit of music in the background kind of thing, just to get some vibes going. Let's do El Piano. What does that sound like? Oh, that's good. Maybe it's a smidge too loud. Can't hear me over the piano. Let's turn that tiny a little bit. I can't hear it. Cool. I don't know if the volume's good and balanced, but we're going to pretend like it is. Okay, we're just gonna chill and start spitballing some ideas on this sort of fun mini campaign that we're writing for our players. This is a sort of short-term commitment, I think. That's the best way to describe it, about 3 months. So if there are 4 Fridays in a month, then we're about 12 sessions. And we've sort of mapped out the story a little bit, but now we're gonna try to get specific with tonight's session and just go like session by session. That's the plan. So let's recap where we were to myself. And if you are a player in said campaign, I mean, feel free to hang out and kind of watch, but, you know, don't spoil it for yourself. Is the best advice I can give you. Cool. So recap where we were. So we've kind of come up with a cool concept that's totally not original, kind of stole it, but in terms of D&D, I'm not sure what it does. So I'm kind of keen on figuring out how to make it work. And if anybody has any ideas or anything to, you know, chip in, that'd be cool too. Ooh, I forgot to tell everyone that we're live now on my Discord. Live, going live. Live now with a D&D prep for a fun Discworld short-ish adventure. Yeah, good. I've put it in here. And I need to still change my sub-alert noise to, or a sub-alert, follower alert to the one that I've been meaning to, which is kind of low-key hilarious. Okay, so let's talk Discworld. Currently our party is just on the first session. What's the backstory here? Yeah, we kind of came at it from like a weird angle, which I think is kind of fun. So the suggestion from chat last week to explain or start presenting the world was really brilliant, and I thought it was funny. So in essence, they're in the Ram Tops. Again, this is not going to be lore perfect at all if you're a fan of the Discworld like I am. However, it's going to add some flavor and things that I can borrow against. So if you are familiar with the Discworld series, this is a little bit like a mix of the Mort storyline, where Death kind of takes a little break. What happened? We were in between songs. That's what happened. Okay. So Death is taking a break for whatever XYZ reason. We know the reason because we're the dungeon master and we get to decide what that reason is. And the consequences of it. So stuff has stopped dying. It's not undead. It's just what I would qualify as a new category called of unliving, or living with grievous and deadly injuries. We need to come up with an acronym. So let's call it. Let's just start writing stuff down. This is where they're going to be soon, I think. I hope. If I come here and I come up and one of them's is nope. All right. I want you to display on screen. Oh, where'd that go? Boom. Here it is. So we are borrowing, by the way, shout out to Sly Flourish. This is totally his template. And we're going to borrow against it to make some notes and ideas as they come up. Note to self, by the way, running a D&D stream on Fridays, the day after Critical Role. Most of the viewers, just for anybody like me who's kind of in that sphere, most of the D&D viewers are going to be watching Critical Role reruns. But that's okay. And we're having fun anyway, and I need to do this prep, so I might as well do it here, as opposed to just doing it in the dark, secret dungeon where I usually go. Cool. So, recap. Players started in a very standard tavern called the Toadstool. They've been hired out by Felicia, and Felicia with the spelled correctly, BT dubs, so at Felicia like this. Why is it not? Oh. What? Did you break? Did I break you? At Felicia, there she is. So Felicia is spelled with an SH, which came up for whatever reason. I have no clue how this came up anymore. So Felicia hired the party members, who remain nameless for now, to accompany them to deliver the last, or one of the very few remaining crates of mushrooms that exist in this area of the world. They understand that there is a large mushroom festival at newly made up towns of Morel, Chanterelle, and White Mushroom, just to make sure that they get this is a mushroom themed issue. And they have to accompany the crates from the Toadstool, name of the inn, all the way to Morel, where some of the finest chefs in the land are awaiting this delivery. Mushrooms have stopped growing because obviously things have stopped dying, so there's no decay, so mushrooms can't grow. That's sort of the logic. Whether it's correct or not, by the way, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a mycologist, I think, is that the actual term? I'm not educated in any way, shape, or form, so this is like best guess. Let's hand wave away the magic part of this. Cool. So, they're making their way, and along the way, they, for some reason, I have no clue why, and I thought that was amazing. The ranger, a new ranger, so she's a fairly new player, which I thought was great. She's like, I want to use my primeval awareness just to see if there's any undead nearby. They're just traveling on the cart, and I'm like, yeah, actually, it pings off one of the goblin guards that you guys have, or one of the goblin deckhands, essentially, muscle that you have along with you, definitely pings off an undead orange. It's like, what the hell? So as they're having a conversation, they get jumped by these four bandits who are now fallen on desperate times. These bandits, you know, hype themselves up by giving each other's terrible names. So one of the bandits, the CR, you know, 1/4 creature, was like, I'm the Kraken, and I'm Striker, and I'm Whittles. Like, it's the best name he could come up with. They jump the players fight back, and they kill two of the guards very quickly. Or kill the guards. By blasting, like, use Magic Missile, or the souped up version of Magic Missile from the one from Jim Dark Magic, the Penny Arcade game. I forget what it's called. Acquisitions Inc. From that book. And they blast a hole in the chest of, like, hey Swirly. So they blast a hole in the chest of this poor NPC who just dies. And then the next round, the NPC stands up and he's like, what'd you do that for? There's a hole in my chest. Wait, that can't be good. And he starts putting his hand through. So the setting basically, death is MIA. What's going on? They just kill people who just, like, give up because they're like, the unliving now stand up, collect their pieces of their limbs, and just like, I want to go see mom. This is bullshit. Which is what they do. They leave and they just head off to their lair, hangout, whatever, as bandits are wont to do. And the party's left there. That's where we ended session 1. The party's left there in the middle of the road with an undead goblin, or unliving goblin, and seeing those mortally injured people just stand up and leave. So, this is where we pick up the beginning of session 2 that we're planning. So we're still, a strong start would be like a recap. I don't know how strong a start this is, but we want to make sure that the unliving guards walk off, just to remind them where we are. And unfortunately, we kind of left them in the middle of a road on the way to Morel. Now, where they're heading is to a town where, you know, they'll deliver the mushrooms, and they'll be told, they need to be told that there is, like, maybe, so we're going to use Discworld allure here, and we can easily have Nanny Og, who is a powerful witch. You know, in D&D terms, she's probably more of a hag, but she's brilliant, and I love her. So, Nanny Og is going to be the first character that they encounter. I think I'm gonna hand wave the rest of the trip away, right? They're walking through snow and mud and stuff, which I think if I hide this again, we can see that this is the town that they're going to be making it to. Yay for Foundry. So they'll arrive here. One of the player characters is called Keebler the Elf. This is not the most serious campaign. Again, we're just going to be having fun with this. They deliver the mushrooms to the town of Morel, where the chefs take on the chefs from Quorum, which is like a French-themed city-state area. And the French chefs will take us, thank you very much for the mushrooms. Now we will be making the cooking with it. Oh, I am cooking the fresh mushrooms. And maybe the town mayor will be like, oh, thank you so much. By the way, we've noticed a bunch of weird stuff happening. And, or they could just hear Nanny having one of her fits, where she's arguing or making lewd remarks and being, oh, no, you must leave. Where they can bounce into her and then we can have that introduction. So let's have that as like kind of our strong start, where I want them, they meet Nanny Og after the delivery. And we have a picture of Nanny here, which is great. NPCs. Here's Nanny. She's this really elderly lady slash witch who loves the drink, loves cigars, and I want them to meet her like as she's maybe a little bit trashed. It's later in the day, and yeah, Nanny Og for sure. I think that's going to be a great start. So Nanny is maybe a little bit aware of what's going on, or maybe she's just been sort of living the life. But what do we want? Nanny, does Nanny know? Yeah, Nanny knows something is off. Obviously, she's a witch. She's part of a, so secret news, she's part of a coven of witches with Granny Weatherwax being sort of the leader of that group. Oh. And what's the other, Margaret. But she goes by Margaret. Okay. So, Granny Weatherwax is sort of the brain of the group, and Granny probably knows something's wrong. She's gone investigating what's happening. Maybe Nanny knows, so the next step of the adventure is for them to realize that death is no longer doing its job. This is not the first time it happens. There is a ritual that they can do to summon death and ask it questions. Typically, what they would normally do is simply go to somebody who's dying and wait until death shows up and have a conversation. But there's something called the ritual, so if we go by Discworld lore, I want there to be today the discussion of the ritual of Ash, what's it called? The ritual Ash Kente or something like this. I'll look up the name later. And that's going to be the theme of this session. They need to perform the ritual, but they need some doodads to perform said ritual. So that's where we need a little bit of chat assistance. What are some items? What are some doohickeys, MacGuffins, things, and again, keeping in, this is probably a little bit lighthearted, that they need to go get to be able to perform the ritual? Knowing as well that things just don't die. So whatever part or piece of something they might collect, the thing's gonna be like, this is, if they kill it for a moment, they're really like, this is bullshit, why are you taking this away from me? So what's a series of items? Let's call it 3 things. Oh, but I don't want her to die though. Like, even if she's unliving, she wouldn't want to necessarily die. Or she has the antidote. Sure, like, this normally kills you. Oh yeah, that's a really funny scene. Holy shit, that's a brilliant funny scene, Swirly. So we can start with, okay, so the recap, I mean, after delivery, Nanny ingests something highly toxic that makes you have a trip. The antidote works 100% of the time, except that the party is usually dead before they can ingest it. And so in this case, like, it instantly kills you. You get a huge trip for, like, it feels a lifetime for that person. It's really a second, and they just keel over dead. In this case, it doesn't kill her, or it makes her unliving. She takes the antidote for once. Boom, she's fine. That's a really funny scene, actually. That's a hilarious scene. Yes, I love it. And she's the type that might very well do that, just because I've always wanted to try this. Keels over dead for a second. So actual background on Nanny Og, if we go by the book, she has an army of daughter-in-laws. Daughters-in-law? English. What is it? Is it daughters-in-law or daughter-in-laws? Daughters-in-law sounds way better than daughter-in-laws, right? So maybe, okay, this is really good. Maybe she's at her own house, which the farmstead, which we have here. Oops, I forgot to bring up the notes. This is Nanny Og's farmstead. So maybe this is where they're told to go. And here, the farmstead, she could just ingest it, and the shout of glee and happiness from the daughters-in-law before she ingests the cure, and then she's totally fine. That's freaking hilarious. Yes, and that really paints a very good picture of what Nanny Og actually is, which is she's awesome, but also a little bit of a maniac. Cool. So from there, she's like, okay, this is what's going on. You know, we kind of know. There can be a discussion around it. We need some stuff for you to go get so we can call Death and be like, what the hell's going on, right? So what are those items? So scenes, let's do the scene where, oops, Nanny Og dies, ingesting, what are we gonna call the thing that she ingests? Is it a mushroom? Mushrooms are hard to come by right now, so maybe it is. Let's make it something really, oh, it's a very common joke in Discworld that they make. The wizard's knob is the name of the mushroom, or whatever it is that she ingests. It's got that double entendre, right? I don't want it to be too serious. Let's do the wizard's knob, because I think it's really funny. And she ingests the wizard's knob. That's funny to me. I'm gonna go with that, because why not? Okay, and then to recoup, maybe the antidote could be something, you know, like named very serious, like that antidote is the death cap, which is a weird name. Like, you would think that it's the other way around, but you know, she doesn't make up the names. Okay, so the ritual of Ash Kente. So she explains something's up, right? We know Death is not doing what they're supposed to do. Let's call on Death. We need a ritual here. So either she can send them off to Granny Weatherwax, who would be more studious and be like, okay, this is the next step of our journey. So there could be we could have like an exploration sequence where they go through some wild terrain, and we can do some new things with our wheel, our progression clocks. Alternatively, we could just go skip right ahead to, you need to go get these things, and tying to the exploration of getting these things, then the ritual. Yeah, I think that makes more sense. So we just need to elicit a list here of things that you want to get for the ritual of Ash Kente. That's what it's called. I'm going to Google that really quick while I'm thinking. The ritual of Ash Kente. Is that Ash Kente? Oh, almost. Ash. Just a capital. Otherwise, I had it right. Ash Kente. Alright, so what are the things that we need? So we might need the sweat of a troll. We don't necessarily need to kill something, right? Maybe. We can make it fun things that are still ground in D&D, like creatures that you need to fight. Remembering that I have 4 level 3s at the moment, I'll need to come up with like something that's probably decent. The troll is what, CR 5? The troll's is CR 5, yeah. They have a troll, which is a bit tricky. What else? What else could we have them go fetch? Killing things, yeah, it's a little bit difficult at the moment, exactly. So they could like take something from a creature. So it still inflicts pain, right? But we could take something from a creature and be like, I'm really sorry, I need to borrow just for a little bit the thing, and I'll bring it back. And I don't want it to be like too dramatic. We could have made it like the heart of a unicorn and be like, oh, that's a bit dark. I don't necessarily want to get that dark with it. Something funny. Only where you go, really? I have to touch that and retrieve that. That's a little bit gross. Oh. The, what are they called? Like the fart glands of a dire, skunk? Secretion glands, whatever they're called. And in fact, for this one, they don't actually have to, but it's hilarious. And then one more thing. I want them to have to collect one more thing. The sweat of a troll, the secretion glands of a dire skunk. We'll have to come up with a stat block for the dire skunk. And something that's just an item that you have to... We can lean on the exploration pillar for that. Maybe... Oh, what's yours? An owlbear. Owlbear are pretty iconic. Owlbear is a CR3, so that might be actually better. The feather... That's a bit dangerous. Maybe we do the feather. Not that an owlbear is less than the feather. An owlbear feather. And what's the last thing? 3 things they need for the ritual. Level 3. There are 4 level 3. I should mark that down up here. 4 level 3 characters. They have a wizard, a ranger. No, yes, she's a ranger, a paladin, and a rogue. That's fairly balanced, I would say. The party's fine. Some damage, some healing, some trickery, and the ranger has a pet. They're the Beastmaster, so it's like 5 actions, 5 reactions, 5 bonus actions roughly, so it's a pretty decent action economy. What else do we throw? One more thing. I want them to collect one more thing. So this could be just simply something that grows in the forest. So this is a great strong start. I really love this. Secrets and clues. So we need them to go get the stuff. What else? One more thing. Is they come in 3s. Always. Let me look at some. What could be in a forest that is be fun for them to find? Oh, the poop of something. Something's poop, right? That's always funny. What's a... Oh, a displacer poop. Cool, I like that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, poop. That's the reaction I'm looking for, just really. You want us to go collect displacer poop? Yeah, of course, because displacer poop, we all know displacers have that shimmery ability about them. And they're sort of Schrodinger's cat, and the poop's the same way. The poop shimmers, and it helps us... They'll just explain it as quantum thingamajigs. This quantum thingy-majigs. Okay? Cool. So once they collect this, so here we'll need what I want to do with this. So this they might have to fight. One of these two might lead to a fight. Maybe fight. All of these might lead to a fight, actually. Maybe fight. And this is maybe fight. We'll have to figure out exactly what we do with the exploration here. Okay. If they collect all these things, why is it do this? Give me a new bullet. Then they perform the ritual. And death. Instead of death, what they get is 8 motes. Or X amount of motes. I think I want 8. Because 8's a big deal in Discworld for whatever reason. 8 motes of death. Yeah, exactly. It feels quantum thingamajigs. 100%. Displacer poop feels quantum thingamajigs. Is this how you spell thingamajigs? I'm gonna go with your spelling because I'm not exactly sure. Thingamajigs. So 8 motes of death. So in the Discworld, there is this idea that death split up once previously, and there's this tiny version of death called the Death of Rats. So maybe the Death of Rats shows up. And he's carrying... Oh yeah. Death of Rats shows up. Death. of rats shows up. Let me find a picture of the death of rats. Discworld. Death of rats. Images. There we go. Copy image. Hello, the death of rats. Shows up carrying a bag. Oh, I like that. And in the bag are 8 or X amount of shards, let's call it. And how do I do this? Opens bag. Opens a bag that is gold and blue IKEA colors. And they have to reassemble Death, essentially. Death has been broken into 8 parts. Has been broken into 8 parts. Has been broken. Typo. And they have to... Oh, what can we make IKEA stand for? I want the acronym to be said. Like, again, this is a very silly, light-hearted game, right? Like, we're not going with a huge narrative of the dragon came and laid the land to waste. This is not this kind of game. Not this time. So what can we make IKEA stand for? Let's go with thesaurus.com. And let's see if we can use the thesaurus to come up with synonyms for death or decay that fit. Okay, so A can be afterlife. Is there a K in here? No. E can be expiration. I can be... Oh, there's nothing for I or K. Okay, okay. Ooh, this is gonna be tricky. K can be what? Kit. And I need to be... Oh, what is there a word that starts with E that means reassembly? Assemble. Oh. Kit of expiration assembly. What is this? What is I? Interdimensional kit of... Let's go back. Maybe there's a better word than extermination. Then eradication assembly, expiration assembly, exit, end. Interdimensional, yeah, I like that, right? If we both landed on the same word. Interdimensional kit of expiration assembly. That's so stupid. Entropy. Yes. That's actually brilliant. Re can be in small letters. And the A is randomly capitalized. Interdimension. Oh my god, I can't. Interdimensional kit of entropy reassembly. It's got 8 parts in it. The Death of Rat shows 8 parts. And what this is, actually, is Death's phylactery. If we think in D&D terms, is phylactery spelled with a 2 Y's or 1 Y? Phylactery? I think I have it right. Yes. Swirly, you're like, oh my god, this dude's crazy. But you know what? I just want to have fun with it. So, Death has been broken into 8 parts. So the actual story, if we need to tie it back to the greater narrative, even if it's silly, I still want it to be consistent, right? So, the underlying story here is that the dwarves, as always in Uberwald, are digging, and they found one of the gem hearts. So in the Discworld, there's the disc that sits on the back of 4 elephants that sits on the back of a great space turtle, essentially. The myth goes that there was a 5th elephant that died early on, and they call that elephant fat because they just bring the fat out, or they're assuming that the fat that they're digging out belonged to that 5th elephant. So the 5th elephant is synonymous with fat, and they make, you know, candles, tallow, cooking, whatever with it. Maybe they've dug enough that they actually hit the ancient heart. That's the theory I'm going with. inside the fifth elephant. They sold that heart, or the heart was taken. So the story goes, again, this is not Shakespeare, okay? There is a league that has been brought up in Discworld. There is basically these undead people. And they're tired of being discriminated against. So the undead people are part of a guild that we've named the Union for Newly Deceased Entities That Ain't That Dead, which is an acronym for undead. I'm not proud of this, but a little bit, and that's okay. And they're headed by zombies and Igors and other undead creatures that are like, we're people too. We should have rights. So what the undead union did is they bought a gem heart from the dwarves, and they performed a ritual so that they wanted everybody else to know what it was like to be like them. Unfortunately, what it actually did is that this was Death's phylactery, and they broke it, which now means that Death cannot do its job. It can no longer do its job. And by breaking in these 8 pieces, they're not sure exactly what happened, but they're kind of like, oh, other people are like us. Vampires, by the way, are pissed about this because now everybody else, they're depressed. They no longer feel special. Everybody else is kind of like them. Which at some point they'll need to meet a vampire that's just like utterly depressed. You know, we used to be special. Now look at us. We're just one of 100,000 people here. There's nothing special about me. I don't know why they're Russian suddenly, but they will be. There's nothing special about me anymore. Leave me be to my castle. I don't even want to taste your blood. It's probably all congealed and everything. And so yeah, like everybody's just kind of mad about the situation, except the undead, who's like, oh, well, we kind of sort of achieved our goal. Vampires are pissed, and the dwarves are kind of like, I don't know what's happening, but let's stay the hell out of it. So the players are like at the tail end of what's happening, and they need to, oh shoot, we now realize, this thing is broken. The Death of Riot is like, we need to get these things. And the adventure now becomes the story of finding those 8 pieces, putting them back together, and bringing Death back to do its job, right? The interesting pieces mechanically is that Death no longer works, right? And that there's no more Death. I think you were there when we had that initial conversation. The mushroom cartel is growing because mushrooms no longer grow, so those who control mushrooms, it's like Dune and the spices. The mushroom cartel is called Fungus Among Us, and that's what it is. Cool, so let's go back to here. So just a lot of nonsense, but you know what? I love it. I think it's great, and I think the players will have fun. So now what I need to do, because I think that might be where we end up, let's figure out what this situation looks. So, locations. They're going to be going through a forest, and we need to come up with some goofy forest name, or Discworld map. Let's actually bring up the Discworld map here. And we can borrow, thank you, Sir Terry Pratchett. Rest in peace. Oh, yes, it's time for TV time for my kid who's watching Fuller House. Can I bring this up to the forefront? Is that oh, that's on Pinterest. The Pinterest is the bane of everything. Hashtag not sponsored. Bring this. A decent map, maybe? Oh. Another. That work? Cool. Is that showing up? I think it is. Neat. Okay. Let's take a look and see if we have the name of a forest somewhere. So the ram tops are here. And is there a name of anything? Can I click this? I can. Oh. This is a great name. Octarine Grass. Boom River. River Ankh. Do we just take a name from here? Because we're assuming there are stories happens here. So, 2 shirts? But with their accent, it sounds like 2 shits. I'm sold. Okay. Perfect. Listen, I get to lean in on like my child humor, and I'm about that. I'm about that life right now. So let's go to 2 shits. And in here they need to accomplish and find these things. Okay. So exploration, let's reuse the concept that we talked about exploration. I think I left it in here for the one-shot notes. Did I put it in? Exploration, yeah, we talked about it here. Great. And I think actually you were here for this, right? So I want the progression clock idea. So let's copy this image. Can I copy? Hello? Go back to our session 2. Let's use this new idea that we stole from Blades in the Dark. And I want them to have, let's call it a medium-sized progression clock. Let's make it 6 pieces. Okay. So for every time they navigate the space, every time they go through, depending on what skill they use and how they describe it, so it's a thick sort of jungle forest part, 2 shits as it's well known. They have a chance to encounter something, or make progression, or find clues that lead them to one of the things they're looking for. Right? Or maybe we make it the 4-1. Okay. If they fill, so there are 2 clocks, right? Let's revisit this. 2 clocks. So you've got the, and how do I have an idea? I want to just, I'll print screen this. Oops, print screen. I just want the, and this is where Swirly, your genius will come in handy, I'm sure. Let's grab this one. I want this one. I don't want to overdo it. Because we're introducing this concept to them, in as much as this is the first time I'm going to use it as well. But I think I want to just do a simple 4. Okay, so we've got our happy clock, and then we've got our sad clock. So they're looking for, what happened here? Why aren't you displaying? Oh, there we go. Okay, so happy clock, so they want to look for, what did we say? There was like a owlbear feather, the poop, and the oh yeah, the secretion glands of a dire skunk. There. So how are we going to integrate the concept of the clocks to these things in terms of exploration? As they go through, there are things that they're going to need to encounter, right? They're looking for clues. They either found an owlbear, the poop, or the secretion glands. I don't know. Do they need, maybe they need 2 of the 3. Maybe I don't make them look for all 3 of these things. So what could they presumably encounter in the forest? A chasm. They need to, so challenges within the forest, and this is where we need to start creating a list, right? So we've got a chasm with a roaring river that is going through, and you can put the Coombe River here for no reason. What else we have? We have a nest of snakes. They might have to traverse without nest of snakes. They could easily find actually the owlbear nest as well, and then it becomes, do they get seen versus do they make their way to the nest itself and sneak a feather, right? That could also be the thing. Yeah, I like that idea for actually the owlbear feather. It can just be them finding it, and they have to navigate 4 plus or minus until they either succeed or the owlbear finds them and then roll initiative, right? Okay, that's decent. For the poop, I can't say, I'm saying this out loud. For the poop, we can have the other things, right? Because they're navigating the space looking for poop. What else can be in the way of finding the poop? Oh yeah, the Mushroom Mafia. Have they already begun, the Mushroom Mafia? Hell yeah, they're quick on it. Mushroom Mafia. Oh, we'll put that with the skunk situation, because the mushrooms that are left smell, and they're using the sense of smell, right? And a skunk is not going to smell very good. But yeah, let's have a mushroom mafia gatherer that they maybe have to navigate around. Otherwise, maybe they have to bribe him, or maybe the mafia gatherer knows of a spot that they can, you know, that could be an interesting encounter. Let's have some other ideas. What else could they run into? Is it creatures? Is it something else? Okay. Okay. Oops. Depressed. Oh, that's so good. I love that. Depressed. Fungal druid, sure. Circle of spores. And he's looking for excrement, right? To just do stuff. What else can we have? What else can we have? This is hard. This is a kind of muscle that I don't flex very often because I don't use the system for exploration. Usually it's sort of like investigation, whatever, or survival. So I need to just have some few list of items that they can run into. You know what? I'm gonna cheat a little bit because that's not cheating. Possible complication or possible encounters in forest, non-combat. I don't want. Let's see if somebody, maybe D&D themselves, have created such a list. Encounters ideas. All right, let's look at the first few hits. We're gonna steal, and that's okay. For any DM that's tuning in, like I 100% encourage you to do that. This is interesting. A mischievous boggle has taken up residence in a small valley where locals pick herbs and plants for potions and magical components. Well, that's not necessarily... Maybe somebody who needs help along the way, who can give them further directions, right? Or that could be the depressed fungal druid. Why not? I'm gonna pillage this list a little bit. Oh. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, hilarious. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Really hungry animals. But that's probably going to lead to a fight, right? That's the only issue, is like I don't necessarily want this to be a fight. Can they navigate maybe a really hungry bear or a really hungry, what's a small creature, like a sort of a squirrel? No, squirrels don't eat meat. What's a smallish creature that eats like some kind of... Yeah, exactly. They could possibly tame it with meat rations. How do we make that work? A small... I don't know what a small woodland critter that eats it, like a fox, I guess? Fox? Pomeranian. I kind of like that. Pomeranian. Just, yeah, a dire Pomeranian. Let's just throw dire in front of everything to just really make fun of... So that's what D&D kind of does sometimes, right? Here's a Pomeranian. Well, that's not scary. This is a dire Pomeranian. Oh no! Now I'm scared because I added the word dire. It's a dire Pomeranian. Okay, and the Pomeranian, if fed, will, you know, obviously understands and be like, oh, you guys want something? Okay, cool. And the last thing we want to do, so the owlbear feather situation, they can find that fairly easily, I think. And then this becomes the issue with the owlbear feather complications. For the secretion glands of a dire skunk, again, just throw dire in front of everything. and then we'll go from there. So they want to find a skunk. It smells. So they need 2 of the 3. They don't need all of these things. It'll be a bit faster, but it'll give us a chance to lean on the exploration clock idea that we talked about on Wednesday, and I really want to try this out. What else? What can they try to figure out to find the fart glands of a dire skunk? So I think this one is going to be more likely to be a fight, but what other complications? Oh, let's go back to our little Google cheat look. Maybe we can have like a satyr show up. Sorry, there's a lot of dead air because I'm just thinking, and I need to... what could they run into in the search of a dire skunk? What was that suggestion, Swirly? You can encounter a ranger hunter that can offer assistance. I mean, that's kind of what the fungal druid is, right? I guess I could reuse that, like if the fungal druid, depending which one they could be, he could just also be kind of, oops. Let's cheat a little bit. They don't need to know that that dude shows up in 2 different places, right? If they don't go for the poop and they go for the secretion glands, he could also be there. If they end up going for both of these and forego the owlbear feather situation, then I can come up with something else. That's a good call. Good call! I want something goofy and funny. I misplaced something that talks that's like an inanimate object that has sentience, or an animated object that's like, listen, I can help you, but you're gonna have to promise to bring me back, like a staff with attitude. I misplaced was a staff with attitude. Ooh, you know what I like? Also the let's steal from what's the name of that movie? Oh my gosh, Onward? Is it Onward? Where they have the really buff, like sort of buff biker fairy who lost its ability to fly and wants some dust, bro. That could be like a fun little thing. And to get that dust, this is a very quick side quest. Possibly if they assist, then that will count for something. I don't know where this is going, but let's have the buff biker fairy show up. Fairy slash pixie. I think they're actually pixies. And for that, they need to find some moss of some kind. What's one more complication they can find in the forest? They could simply also find the skunk at some point, right? They have to encounter the dire skunk, and how are they going to extract the gland? And the skunk is highly allergic to something that the druid or the fairy can tell them about. Oh, if they've done, oh, perfect. Actually, if they've done the poop before they go there, it's allergic to displacer poop. Or owlbear dandruff. Solved. Perfect. Look at this. Yeah, what kind of D&D adventure is this, bro? So, we want our players. Here's the setup for tonight. These are areas that they can explore. This is not plotted out more as areas of interest. So they start at the beginning of the night where they meet Nanny Og. Nanny Og ingests the super toxic thing that makes her just like have a huge trip, pass out, but then the antidote works because nothing can die anymore, which is great. We've named the wizard antidote, or the antidote is the wizard's knot because we're children, and it's hilarious. Nanny reveals that they need to perform the ritual to get in touch with death and figure out why the hell it's not doing its job anymore. The 3 ingredients for the ritual of Ashkante are an owlbear feather, the secretion glands of a dire skunk, or displacer poop that fuels the quantum thingamajigs that they need, of course, to perform the ritual. If they collect these things, they then perform the ritual. As per Discworld lore, again, this does not need to be specific, the death of Rat shows up. It opens a bag that is golden blue in color with the acronym IKEA on it, And if they look closely, it says the interdimensional kit of entropy reassembly, i.e. the phylactery of death. And then after this, they realize that the death has been severed into 8 different parts that they need to then go around. That'll be, you know, over the course of the next 2 months. As again, I'm just reiterating, this is a short-term thing, a short-term adventure for about 10-12 sessions. And then every other session will be finding a piece of death, bringing it back to the phylactery, putting it back together, and undoing what the union. What was the name of our? I need to make sure I don't lose sight of that. Which was the Union for Newly Deceased Entities That Ain't That Dead, i.e. undead. They did by mistake, causing death to sort of break apart. I want to make sure that I reference that in here so I don't lose sight of. Not necessarily an NPC. So monsters, we have possibly an owlbear, a displacer beast, a pixie, angry pixie. What else did we say? We can have a thug, that mafia, the mushroom mafia. If anybody joins this late, they'll be like, "What the hell is this dude talking about?" Listen, it makes sense. All right, just watch the VOD. Be like, "This makes total sense. This is absolutely top tier D&D content right here." Thanks, Self. Hope you're doing well. And then what was the other possible encounter? We had the dire skunk. Did I write that? Dire skunk. What stat block the dire skunk is, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure D&D has a legit. Oh, and we have the angry Pomeranian. So the dire skunk, I'm pretty sure there's like an actual dire badger. Or there used to be a dire. Oh, they got rid of the dire badger in 5e. Not seeing on D&D Beyond. Let me see. Is there a dire badger? There used to be a dire badger stat block, which always made me laugh. It's in the SRD. Perfect. It's from 3rd edition. Like, how is a dire badger scary? I have no clue. But we have a dire Pomeranian possibly, and we can use the dire wolf as a stat block for the dire skunk and just reflavor dire. I'll have to reskin it with acid spray attack that recharges. Cool. And then what did we say was the last thing? Shoot. Oh, the dire Pomeranian. And that can be based on like what the dire. What's a dire Corby? I'm actually not sure what a Corby is. Anybody know what a Corby is? Is that a bird? It is kind of a bird. Alright, well, we'll have to make up our stat block. Maybe Winter Wolf, maybe stat block. Okay, let's make this a little bit beefy. Oh, that's really beefy. Winter Wolf, but we'll tone it down to like a CR2 fight or something. And then what did we say? We talked about these guys. Perfect! No, a Corby. Like this. I'll type it in chat. I've came up in D&D Beyond. I've actually never seen that. Where is it from? D&D Beyond, please. It is from Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio. Okay, that was like the add-on. Cool. So if you have access to Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio, page 7 apparently has this dire Corby stat block. Cool. What a strange thing. And then treasure will just give him stuff. The wizard's wand, the wizard's staff can be a +1 if we base it off just a sentient +1 wand of the war mage or war mage thing. Let's buff them up a little bit early, just because it's fun and I want this to be fun, exciting, not trudgy. The last adventure I did with this group turned out into this epic of them having to restore a god to its rightful place. It started off as they wanted something like that was really narratively driven and like consistent and serious, and I gave them that. It was a Theros campaign, and they basically had to retrieve Thassa from the underworld and bring her soul back, and it became a whole thing. And at the end of the campaign, after a year and change, one of them got to elevate themselves as the new Thassa. A whole story, and it was long and it was really interesting, but I want something much more lighthearted here, because I don't want another year-long campaign craziness, especially when, you know, we just committed to 3 months, so this will work. Other treasure they could find is maybe the dire druid. The fungal druid could also have something fun. maybe a bow or something for one of the party members. We'll have to figure out specifically the treasure. I think that works. That's a fun little session for tonight. And I'm gonna leave it there. Anybody in chat, so I see you, Selt, I see you, Swirly, do you guys, if you have any homebrew stuff that you want me to look at, I'd love to do that and do a bit of a review. That's cool. Why not? If there's anything. Otherwise, a reminder. What time is this meeting? Oh, I have a meeting in exactly 5 minutes. Wicked. Just a reminder, in Discord, I'm starting to look for people. So I have a group, I think, starting to line up with Swirly, Wizard, and Ronnie, I want to say, and Hootie. So we're lining up a group of 4 ready to do one shot coming up soon to be determined. So if you have any interest in that sort of thing, if you're not already in Discord, and I think Celt, you are in the Discord already, by all means, join up, and I'll start sending requests for people if they're interested. We'll do a quick one-on-one. Hey, you know, make sure that you're not going to be, not that I'm suggesting you are specifically, but people on the internet can be weird. And I don't necessarily want people that are going to be, you know, yelling racial slurs during a session online because, you know, not cool. Or people who come online and, you know, sing me the praises of something I really don't want to be hearing about. So if you're keen, then, you know, I'll start reaching out to folks online. With that, it is 12:56. My time is up as I have to start getting ready for a meeting this afternoon. We'll be back later tonight. I think, is tonight one of my scheduled variety streams? I don't even remember what my schedule is, but you know what? You know who does remember? It's Twitch. It is Twitch. Tonight is Friday. No, I get a night off from streaming. Cool. I'll be back Sunday at 10:30, barring like an impromptu stream. Sunday at 10:30, I have an interview with Dan. You can find him at... this is Sunday is the command, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it didn't update. Huh. Why did... It's Whiskey Dan, I think, his name on Twitter. Oh my lord. Look at this. I have an interview with one of... a very veteran GM who has a lot of information, and I just said the wrong thing. I'm embarrassed. It's Whiskey Yak. At Whiskey_Yak. I'm meeting with him on Sunday at 10:30. What was the question, Swirly? Have you seen the False Hider Homebrew Monster? I have not. Feel free to link it, or send it to me by DM. I think I have links turned off in chat by default. I'm not sure where that comes from, but I'd love to see it. I'm waiting. Sorry, dead air. If you don't have it handy, maybe on Monday. So Sunday I come back at 10:30 to noon to do the interview with Dan, which is great. A lot of information. He's been DMing since, I think based on what I've spoken to, like since the original Dungeons and Dragons. He plays a bunch of different systems. He has a bunch of homebrewed and just put together stuff. So I'd love to. I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him. I'll look at the stat block. Tell you what, Swirly, I'll look at the stat block on Monday. We have our one-shot Monday where we devise and work on a one-shot adventure, and then we can review the stat block just because I'm out of time and I have to run to a meeting. So thanks very much, guys, for tuning in, boys and girls. I might come back tonight as like an impromptu Among Us stream because I have a lot of fun with that. Usually around 10:30 if I do it. I just said do. And if you're around and you feel like playing along, if there's room, by all means, you can play with us. Otherwise, have a good rest of your Friday. Have a good weekend, and I hope to see you on Sunday morning. All right, take care, everyone. Bye.